Hey, everybody, and welcome to Marina's Movie Club, your favorite podcast where we talk about all of our favorite movies. My name is Ethan. I'm the producer and co-host of the show, and with me, as always, is my beautiful wife, Marina.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Miss Namesake of the show.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What a title.
We took a little hiatus, didn't we? We
indeed.
haven't done the podcast in a while.
Just a little 6-month hiatus.
Sorry to leave you guys hanging. We always intended to come back, and we kept saying, we got to do it soon. We got to do it soon. And then life just kept getting busier.
Yeah.
It was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But we took some things off the schedule. We allowed ourselves more time to watch movies and to talk about them.
Which
and
is
thus,
always something you should do.
we've returned. Yeah, you know, if you haven't done that at home, maybe you should do that too.
It will make you happier.
You've been working too hard. You deserve
Go
a break.
watch a movie.
Go watch a movie. Go watch a good one. You know
Yeah.
what? I think would be a great movie to watch.
Nights and weekends.
Possibly Nights and Weekends. I actually don't know if I could recommend it.
We'll get into that later.
Well,
but
that's for part 2.
Yeah.
But that's actually a really good segue into this.
Why?
Okay. So here's the deal, guys.
Okay.
We haven't done the podcast in a while. And during our unexpected podcast break, we had a lot of thinking.
yeah.
We were thinking about the podcast, thinking about you guys, how much we missed you. But then we were thinking, hey, what can we do to make the podcast even more doper?
Exactly.
That's what Marina said.
That's the words I used.
Yes. And then what did you say in response?
I said,
Okay, but okay, so for real, the podcast is changing a little bit.
Yeah.
So what are the changes that we're making?
okay, so the first big change is that we will be coming back. Drum roll. Thank
Sorry,
you.
I'll do it in editing. Ready? Okay, here's a
Okay.
real drum roll, and
We're coming back with weekly episodes.
ta-da!
Yay! So we will be coming out every other Thursday and every other Tuesday with episodes.
And then everybody at home says, "But how can I trust you? You abandoned me for 6 months."
I know, and I don't have an answer for that.
You're just gonna have to
going
believe
to
us.
have to do it.
But it'll be fun.
And
Okay,
I
so
hope-
we're gonna do every other week, or no, every week.
Every
but
week
every other Tuesday,
and every
and
other
every other
Thursday.
Thursday.
So every other Thursday, starting today,
Yes, today's Thursday.
we will be doing a little intro episode, which will be part 1. And the intro, we'll be introing the movie. We'll be talking about film movements or directors or actors or whatever you need to know before watching the movie.
Right.
And then over the weekend, you all have homework to watch the movie.
Yes.
And then we'll come back on Tuesday and we will all talk about the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
Like
the
we're all-
next Thursday,
Right.
it will start over
There you
again.
go. So this is kind of modeled after 18-year-old Marina. She's going to film school.
Yeah.
She's walking around Southern California.
Exactly.
And what was film school like for you? Like you had a class that you went to. Were the classes like specific enough to be like French cinema or a class on just this one director? Or like how is that going to translate into the podcast?
Exactly like that.
Oh, okay. Wait, were your classes actually that specific?
Some of them, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Like what? What was the class you took?
French cinema, intro to French cinema.
Oh, cool.
I took, well, auteurs, but we learned about 3 different auteurs. We'll get to that word if you don't know what that means.
Okay.
Long takes.
The
where
whole
we
class
only-
on long takes?
Yeah.
Oh, I think I kind of remember
Yeah.
that. Did Nate Bell teach that? Oh.
Cheney.
Oh, Cheney. That's right. Shout out all you APU film profs.
I know.
If you're out there.
Yeah, but we'll be doing that with our little seasons.
Yeah.
We'll take some maybe broad, maybe very oddly specific topics and talk about them for like probably a couple weeks.
Yeah. But
Maybe sometimes a couple months.
Yeah. And on Thursdays, it'll kind of feel like we're in film school. You're going to teach us a bunch of stuff. And then we're going to use that information to watch the movie that we're going to talk about on Monday
Tuesday.
or Tuesday, a little more educated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also you'll have homework.
Yeah, and your homework is you gotta watch the movie. Sorry, guys. Sorry to
I
make
know.
you do that. But
welcome to my life as a film student.
yeah,
It was
also
really
you signed
hard.
up for this. And also you're paying us tuition, so you better work hard. And there's no refunds.
Yeah. If you're on Patreon, then you're paying us tuition. So thank you.
Well, what is the... Okay, here's my question.
Okay, I'm ready.
Professor Marina.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever want to be a professor? That sounds kind of fun.
Yeah,
Professor
I
Marina.
think I do.
That'd be sick.
Yeah.
Okay. That aside,
Okay.
what's the first series that we're going to be going through? What's like the broad category of movies that we're going to be watching?
We're talking about Greta Gerwig
Sick.
and her filmography as a director.
The whole entire filmography?
Yes.
How many movies has she made?
4.
Oh, okay. That's not that bad.
3.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's why we're
Nice.
starting with her.
Yeah,
because
I like that.
she is very easy to watch all of her films.
Okay,
you know?
sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, and why Greta Gerwig?
Because
like,
she's
why
cool.
was- But, I mean, like... because she's sick, bro.
She doesn't need an introduction.
I mean,
no,
I
because
agree. I think she's sick.
because like they said, like she only has 4 movies, so it's super easy to watch all of her movies.
Sure.
And analyze them
Oh,
against each
interesting.
other. And so I think it will be a nice
You could do a little
introduction.
compare
to,
and contrast. Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Okay,
Before we
cool.
get into directors who have hundreds of movies
Yeah, sure.
at Hitchcock.
So, okay, you guys at home, I guess get ready. Google Greta Gerwig if you've been sleeping under a rock. Make sure that you got your Netflix subscription re-upped.
Yeah.
And here we go.
Here we go. So today we're actually going to be talking more about Mumblecore than Greta Gerwig herself
No.
because Mumblecore is an essential part of understanding Greta Gerwig, whether or not Ethan wants that to be true.
Essential?
Yes.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
she got her
You know what?
start.
I'm sorry. I need to come in with more of an open
Yeah.
mind.
Ethan
I just saw the
decided he decided he hated Mumblecore before he even watched a movie.
I don't think it's that presumptuous to know that I wouldn't like Mumblecore.
I know, but
The thing is, I watched a trailer for Nights and Weekends, and immediately I was like, "What? What is this?" And I was so confused. I have more thoughts later,
Yeah.
but I guess I can hold. I'm going to come into this with more of an open mind.
thank you.
Okay, Mumblecore. I'm learning. Professor Marina, go ahead.
Okay.
Please. Yeah, after you.
Thank you. Mumblecore is a subgenre of American independent film mainly made between 2006 to 2012, marked by especially low budgets, an emphasis on naturalistic dialogue and character portrayal, and handheld camera work. Overall, it prioritized authenticity and creativity over elaborate productions. So basically, they
It's
had...
like vlogging.
Yeah,
It's like an OG vlog.
yeah.
Interesting.
And it...
What
it's-
time period was this at its height? Do you know off the top of your head?
Well, if you were listening, 2006 to 2012.
Oh, did you say that? Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry. That's funny. That feels very 2006
I
to
know.
2012.
Yeah.
I was trying to pick up my water bottle without making sound.
All
The
of your
microphone.
attention went
I think my ADD brain was like, oh no, I can't make any sounds. And now I've stumbled so hard that I have to talk about it. I promise I listen to you when you talk.
Thank
Just
you.
not when I have to pick up on
not
the
when you have to
podcast.
do something else.
Okay.
Okay.
2006 to 2012. This feels very 2010.
Yes. So the Mumblecore movement was brought on by the invention of 2 technologies, easily accessible and affordable gear like handheld cameras
I see.
and editing software, and the rise of the internet. It had never been cheaper to make a movie with decent gear, and with the rise of the popularity of video sites like YouTube, it was easy to send your film to people all over the world. So this brought a brand new wave of young filmmakers into the film festival scene. Typically, a film's budget goes towards actors, crew, location, gear, production design, and post-production, which I just named off every single part of a film, I think.
Okay. Yeah, that's
But-
true.
Mumblecore allowed for films to limit the crew and the gear, usually just to a cinematographer with a camera and a few lights and a sound person with a microphone. And then they typically only center around a small cast of characters, like 2 main characters and then like a couple side characters.
Yeah.
And they
Some
use
extras.
Yeah, they use borrowed spaces like the filmmakers' own apartments or public spaces, so they don't have to deal with production design. So everything is just super
Yeah.
low budget.
You know what this is? There's a mantra of filmmaking is that the best camera is the one that you have.
Yeah, because you
And-
should just do it.
Guys, you gotta just do it.
Yeah.
And you could spend a long time saying, oh, I'm not going to make the movie yet because I don't have this production quality or I don't have this team or whatever. So to minimize that, because you could always get the next best thing. You could always save up for the red 16K cinema camera with the crazy log footage. But that's not the thing that makes the movie.
Yeah.
It's the storytelling.
Yeah, everything
So,
else makes the movie,
everything-
to be honest.
Well, so I think the thing is that you give freedom to someone. It's kind of like for a long time, everybody's been able to paint. You know, painting isn't like that much of an upper echelon thing that's like very gate kept. It's like you can just go to Michael's. I don't know what it was in like the 16th century,
Yeah.
how easy it was to get paint.
The local.
But generally,
store.
like I feel like it's not a high barrier entry kind
Yeah.
of art form. But I think for a while, filmmaking was kind of this like new line of like this new media, and to break into that is kind of like you have to shatter this barrier and you have to have the money. So
Yeah.
especially from the movement from going from analog film to digital, I think that also removes a ton of barriers like you
yeah.
were talking about.
Yeah. What's widely accepted as the first Mumblecore film is called Funny Haha, made in 2002
What a name.
by Andrew Bujalski. So he was the first person to kind of make a low budget film that did well in film festivals. Well, of this era. So he is kind of the person who like inspired this whole wave of young filmmakers.
Oh, okay.
Because they realized, like they saw his movie and then they realized like, oh, I could make something like that because he had such a low budget and such a simple film
Yeah.
that it kind of like made it accessible to this whole new group of people.
You said it performed really well?
Well, it was at Sundance, or not Sundance,
Oh, wow.
sorry, South by Southwest.
Oh.
I forgot to say that. But
Yeah. That's really cool.
yeah, so it was like they saw it at the festival and then realized that they could do it. So
Yeah.
then
Oh.
3 years later, in 2005, the 2005 South by Southwest Film Festival is the breakout year for Mumblecore. So it had Joe Swanberg's Kissing on the Mouth, Mark and Jay Duplass's The Puffy Chair, and Andrew Bujalski's follow-up, Mutual Appreciation.
Nice.
And so all of these films were very similar.
Okay.
And it was during an interview that Andrew Bujalski's sound guy called it Mumblecore as like a
Oh,
joke. And
okay.
then that's kind of like how it got coined as like what all of these films had in common.
Is it because they mumbled?
It's because it's very talk centric.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's not a lot of other sound.
Right. That's true.
So
Okay.
yeah. They also, though, they all focus on a slice of life. Kind of, you enter into a character's life at a seemingly random moment, and then you end at a equally random moment.
Right.
So they're all just like, you're just kind of in their life for like
It is-
no real reason.
Which is the best reason to make a movie, I guess. Right?
Why not? I don't know.
Because why not? That was a joke.
Yeah.
I've never, I feel like, oh my gosh. When you watch a movie, I think a really obvious question to ask is, oh, what's this movie about? And
The answer for Mumblecore 100% of the time is nothing.
it's just, no, wrong question. It's more like,
The vibes.
what are the vibes of the movie? How many times do they say, I don't know? It's so weird. It's
Yeah.
just like, it feels like these movies feel like somebody was secretly filming someone's very mundane life without their awareness.
Yeah.
And that's the movie.
Yeah. They're very often compared to documentaries because
that makes sense, I guess.
Yeah.
But even documentaries feel, but I don't know, man. Oh my gosh. This is just.
I haven't seen The Puffy Chair, but I do think it seems like it has more of a plot than the other ones. So I kind of want to watch that to see if that's true.
Well, you watch it and then get back to me and tell me if it's worth watching.
All right.
Because I'm not going to watch it.
You're out on Mumblecore.
I'm completely out on Mumblecore.
Okay. Well, on the bright side, Greta Gerwig was at the South by Southwest Film Festival in 2005.
Oh, was she inspired by this?
Well, she met all of these people.
Interesting.
And then she went on to work with like all of them.
What did she have any acting roles before she made this movie?
Yeah, let me pull it up.
Mm-hmm. I was curious if she just like met them at using like a backstage pass or a meet the director kind of thing, or if she had connections.
She was dating someone whose name I like can't find. I know that somebody can probably tell me who it is, but I can't figure out who it is. But she was dating somebody who worked on one of these films.
Oh, okay.
And that's why she went during her spring break of her senior year, I think. Okay, so she was in a few short films in 2006, but then her first real role was Hannah Takes the Stairs, which is another Mumblecore movie from 2007. It's a Joe Swanberg directed movie. And then Baghead, another Mumblecore movie, and Yeast. And then she's in Nights and Weekends.
Gotcha.
So she has three main
So she's got like kind of a repertoire built up. Okay.
Yeah. And with the people within the Mumblecore movement they all kind of worked on each other's films.
Oh, interesting.
Like it was a very tight-knit little group.
That makes sense.
They all were used to each other and stuff and worked well together. So in general, as Ethan can attest, critics hated Mumblecore.
Good.
But for some reason, audiences absolutely loved it.
I don't know what audience was looking at this. Was the
think
audience
it's just the
that they
idea
reviewed just
of, like,
2x4s that they put in chairs?
Sad.
That's the only type of person that I can imagine liking Mumblecore.
It's the idea of having like a very honest depiction of life, I think.
I mean, I think that's why a vlog does well.
Yeah.
But I don't understand this. Like, if you're going to write fiction, like write it about something. Anything at all. I feel like it has no artistic drive to it whatsoever. It's kind of like just slapping paint onto a canvas with no purpose. It's just like, oh, this is, but you don't get it. It's like an experience of like, this is just what it's like for paint to be on a canvas. Nobody does that.
But it's like we can talk more about it when we get to Nights and Weekends.
Okay, we'll review the movie and then I'll complain even more.
Okay. All right. So 3 main characteristics of Mumblecore. 1, low budgets, like we talked about before. A few of them were shot on 16 millimeter film, but other than that, everything was very low budget.
Sure.
Number 2, naturalism. Instead of focusing on the dialogue and action to convey critical plot information, Mumblecore filmmakers place careful attention on the daily experience. So nothing really happens, but it's just
cool.
Natural.
Yeah, it's so natural.
Yeah.
Right.
Number 3, personal or confessional. Mumblecore films make films about themselves and their friends' lives. I meant to say Mumblecore filmmakers make films.
Oh, got it.
That would make more sense. The stories usually focus on young characters and their work and personal lives, their efforts in which they generally fail to get started in the adult world, and managing romantic entanglements and friendships.
Do you think that this is because it's just like them personally?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, what should we make a movie about?
Mm-hmm.
And then they said, what if we just make a movie about my life?
Yeah.
And then they said, but what would it be about? And they said, my life. And then they said, who would star in it? And then they said, me.
Of course.
And then they were like, what should we do? And then they just said, my life. And then they just pulled out a camera and started shooting.
You think about like movies that you made though as a kid, like
Yeah.
probably the same era, like 2008
Yeah.
to 2012. But like think about if you were 10 years older and you were making those movies and like basically they had the same amount of experience. Like
My little
they
YouTube
were-
videos.
Yeah, like they were older and they did have like they had
Well,
like story experience, but they
sure.
didn't have like we were all making movies with that technology at the same time.
That's
you know?
crazy to think about.
I know. Like it's not meant to be like this masterpiece piece of cinema.
Okay.
You know?
Right.
Like this was just this new wave of filmmakers who had access to make films who couldn't have done that before.
Yeah.
So I think it's just like it's very similar to movies that we made,
Okay.
but just they got more recognition because they were in I
because
keep saying Sundance.
they
South by
weren't 10 years
Southwest.
old.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Gotcha.
that adds. It also reminds me of coming of age movies of the 80s because they kind of the Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Breakfast Club type
Okay.
films.
Yeah.
Because they focus on, well, it really defines that generation, but then it focuses on what it was like to be like a middle class teenager in that time.
Yeah.
And these films really focus on what it means to be a middle class millennial in
Interesting.
2008.
Right.
And like they're all, this one, Nights and Weekends, not so much, but most of them are about like what you do right after college and like not knowing what to do with your life.
Yeah.
And having no direction,
Uh-huh.
which kind of adds to why the film has no direction. I think it's kind of like
It's just reflective
we're all
of your
just
life.
kind of floundering. And yeah. One other Mumblecore film that we should talk about before Nights and Weekends that's important to Greta Gerwig is called Frances Ha. It came
Okay.
out in 2012 and it was written by Greta Gerwig and her now husband Noah Baumbach.
Oh.
Baumbach? I think that's how you say his
Was
name.
this while they were dating?
I think this was before they were dating and then they
Wow.
started dating when they were filming it.
This is like Greta Gerwig lore.
I know.
It's fun.
So it was directed by Noah and then starred Greta. And it is recognized as the last Mumblecore film.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Wait, but you said that was
2012.
Oh, gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool. You said that we should talk about it before we talk about. So then I
Right,
thought
sorry.
it came out. Okay.
Only
No, but
because
I
we
got-
aren't going to go very much into it because she
Right.
didn't direct it, but she did write it
Yeah.
and star in it. So it's
yeah,
important.
it's
but-
important for Mumblecore canon.
Right.
Cool.
So, yeah. And even though Frances Ha is officially known as the end of the Mumblecore movement, it's sometimes-
illegal to come out with more Mumblecore films now, right?
Yeah, yeah, it
That's
is.
good. Thank
Okay.
you. Thank
So
you for
it's-
doing that. Whoever came up with that law.
It actually marks the start of what some people call the second wave of Mumblecore,
Oh, no.
which consists of films like Drinking Buddies and Blue Jay, which are still very much Mumblecore films, but have higher budgets because basically these Mumblecore filmmakers grew up and became
Real
famous
filmmakers.
filmmakers and got bigger budgets.
That's awesome.
And so they have higher budgets and well-known cast members, better production design, whatever.
Wow.
And it's still kind of like the essence. And I think when we watch Lady Bird and talk about Lady Bird,
Okay.
you'll understand how that works. And
Yeah.
you've already seen Lady Bird and you've seen Barbie.
Right.
Have you seen Little Woman?
No, I haven't.
Yeah. But I mean, it's been a while, but I think you can kind of see the connection that the Mumblecore kind of way of talking, like the dialogue, kind of translates into her other films.
I guess into Lady Bird. I haven't seen Little Women, but definitely I can't see it in Barbie at all. Barbie's like a different genre.
Yeah,
completely.
that's fair. I think it's definitely been too long since I've seen Barbie.
Oh,
And I
no,
was not
I think there is
thinking,
0%
like-
of Barbie that is Mumblecore. But I could see
We'll
it
see.
in Lady Bird.
We'll see when we get there.
I could see the essence of an old Mumblecore filmmaker
Yeah.
in Lady Bird.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
yeah.
So, as we attempt to understand Mumblecore, we're going to look at Nights and Weekends.
Just so barely attempt.
Nights and Weekends is Greta Gerwig's directorial debut, or co-directorial debut, because she co-directed it with Joe Swanberg. So most people, when they're talking about Greta Gerwig's filmography, don't include it. But I think it should be included because it is.
I don't know.
But she did direct it.
Okay.
And then she did take 10 years off from directing. But still,
I guess that doesn't matter.
Other people do that too. Terrence
Yeah.
Malick had like a 15-year span.
Oh, wow.
Just for no reason,
Interesting.
So,
kind of like how we had a 6-month break from our podcast.
Exactly. Sometimes that happens.
Yeah, sometimes people are just avant-garde with their schedules.
Exactly. And she did other stuff. She just didn't direct. So I'm just going to give a little overview of Nights and Weekends, and then we'll go watch the movie.
Yep, let's do it.
So Nights and Weekends follows a long-distance couple named Maddie, played by Greta Gerwig, and James, played by Joe Swanberg, who live in Chicago and New York, respectively. I feel like that's opposite, though. Doesn't the girl live in New York?
For the second half of the movie, I think.
So if
she moved.
We're confused,
college.
And everyone else is confused.
But it's very indicative of the type of movie.
At one point, they're in Chicago, and at one point, they're in New York. The film follows their relationship over 18 months as they struggle to keep the romance alive while being apart. It was made with a $15,000 budget.
What?
Yeah.
What did they spend the money on?
I think like food.
They had what? Did they also include rent?
Maybe.
Man.
Yeah. It takes place in apartments and public spaces and was filmed on a Panasonic handheld camera. Although Gerwig and Swanberg have writing credit, the film barely had a script and is mostly improv, which I guess means that they wrote it because they're the stars. And also, I told you earlier that it was not improv, and apparently I was wrong.
Got it.
Because I think
that's
probably from here on, she doesn't do improv. And I think in a lot of her other films, she doesn't do improv when it feels like it's improv.
Yeah.
Like she has a weird way of acting where it feels like improv. And I think that's also her writing style.
That's interesting.
Yeah. But I guess this actually was improv. Joe Duplass is the other actor in the film who plays the brother. Very short time that he is there. So essentially Greta Gerwig and Joe Swanberg directed themselves and really only themselves. So it's an interesting directorial debut because she's just directing herself.
Yeah.
So I understand why Lady Bird is her real
it's
debut.
Hard to count.
Yeah.
This is a movie.
Yeah. But we'll talk about that more when we get to Lady Bird.
Yeah.
So for now, do you have any last thoughts, or do you want to save all your Mumblecore thoughts for when we talk about the movie?
I guess I just do want to throw out a PSA of
content warning.
Content warning. Yeah. I skipped some parts and didn't like it very much. So I would say watch the movie for educational purposes if you're curious about a very niche form of filmmaking. But don't watch it if you're looking for a good movie.
Yeah.
Greta, I love you. I love your other work, but I'm not sure if this is one that I could recommend to everybody on the podcast.
That's fair.
So anyways,
but we can all laugh about it.
We can all laugh about it
on Tuesday.
You know what it is? I think this is a really good, important, moment in filmmaking. Like you were saying, it's these new filmmakers getting new tools and just having the freedom to go make movies with the stuff that they have.
Yeah.
So
and
I
really
think that part of it is cool.
Taking the power away from the studios in a different way.
Yeah. More power to the filmmakers. Screw the studio. Screw the man. Anyways, so welcome to the new podcast format.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here. Thanks for teaching us about Mumblecore.
Thank you.
Sorry for dogging you so
sometimes.
much. If you at home want to follow along with us, you are more than welcome to watch Nights and Weekends. We'll talk more about it on Tuesday. Until then, you can keep up with us at Marina's Movie Club on Instagram or Movie Club Pod on Letterboxd. We also have a new website called marinasmovieclub.com where you can look at article versions of some of Marina's film reviews. She's also going to be publishing film reviews to other websites that we have partnerships
but
with.
we should link to them, I think.
And we'll link to them on the website.
So you'll be able to find everything there.
marinasmovieclub.com for more information. You could also leave us a review to get a free sticker. Follow the link in the show notes below, and you will be able to get a free sticker from us to you as a thank you for reviewing the podcast. But until next time, we will see you on Monday, where we talk about nights and weekends.